Okay, it's Sunday, which means against my better judgment, it's time to go to Reddit and see what we can find in this hive of scum and villainy. There's actually something helpful on here today, if you can believe it. So first off, just another friendly reminder to never say I need heals, and instead say the hero name, which is, yep, true, because people in random games, they don't know who I is, they've never met you before, they don't know you by voice, you gotta say who you are, my friend, or ping, you know. How to quickscope with Ana. Do unscoped shot, that's not, do scoped in shots of, yeah. Do quickscoping is a really hard skill to master. I just looked at the bullet points, like that's gotta be it, but nah. Oh, there's a video. Oh, I should have known. We're not gonna watch the video, but let's look at what the video's called. Well, this is very unhelpful, isn't it? Well, now we're going to sit and we're going to watch this naked smoothie for 6 more seconds, because this is not a skippable ad. How tragic for us. It is ML7, How to Quickscope with Ana in Overwatch, plus tips, 2018. So there you go, if you're interested in that. Speculation. Sonic Arrow's volume wasn't made lower, rather its frequency was reduced. Sonic Arrow is counterable only for young people. Interesting theories. Small tip for Ash. When res, your gun is fully reloaded. This is good to know. But here's the big money. Small Ash tip. You can bypass the firing delay after reloading by waving hello. So there is a 0.5 second, something like that, period where once the reload is ended, you can't fire. So this just skips that. So if you're actively reloading your gun, you're reloading your gun, you're like 8 out of 12 in the reload. If you wave hello, the animation is just immediately cancelled and you can fire straight away. So this is actually very strong. This is the kind of thing where normally I go, don't worry about it, they're going to patch it out, and they are going to patch it out. But this particular exploit is really strong, so I recommend doing it, even though they will patch it out, because this one is very strong. I recommend putting hello on a button you can easily reach if you're going to play Ash, because it's really sick. I'm reloading, and now I'm shooting you, just immediately. And it's helpful for someone like me, because to me, the hardest thing about playing Ash is ammo management, and this makes that significantly easier. I didn't know about this till today, and it's changed my entire life. It's incredible. Playing main tank healer in gold. I seem to be in a pickle. I've been in gold/plat rank since I started playing Overwatch back in Season 5 or 6. What season are we on now? Fuck, I don't know. Who cares? I watch a lot of streamers, which I try to emulate in my own games, most notably their positioning. However, not everyone watches streams, where my team is set up in horrible positions. When I find my team setting up in bad positions, let's say I'm playing Ryan, I try to ask them to group up with me in a much better position, though they hardly ever listen and just stay where they are and ultimately die. Do I hold my ground in my good position and wait for my team to die, or maybe realize... No, you have to go stand with them. If your team's doing dumb shit, you gotta go do the dumb shit with them, because especially like if you're playing Ryan and like all 5 people are up there, but you're like, if you're on Dorado, right, and your team, they're gonna go and stand first checkpoint, they're gonna go and stand up at the very first corner and just like stare straight into their spawn doors, right? You gotta go stand there with them, unfortunately. You don't want to, but if that's where they're gonna stand, that's where you gotta stand too. Because, alright, you're up there on the high ground by yourself where you're meant to be. Your team is doing that 5v6, they all die, then they come up to you and kill you. So, if they're doing dumb shit, you basically have to go do the dumb shit with them, because then at least they're doing dumb shit 6v6, instead of dumb shit 5v6, which they will definitely lose. And then they will just come and kill you. Doesn't matter if you're doing the right thing if you're the only one who's still alive, because then they'll just kill you anyway, even though you're doing the correct thing. Unfortunately, you know, we can't control what people do as much as we want to. Getting flamed by my team for having gold damage is Diva. That's very interesting. I was playing a kind of plat. My team had a 4-stack with 2 whole time I got flamed for playing Diva because apparently she wasn't appropriate for the composition, but I felt I was doing my job and more. First half, then gold damage the next. Normally I wouldn't bring up damage done, but I do hear, according to them, it isn't my job to have gold damage. I mean, if you have gold damage, who gives a shit, right? Is this actually a valid point, or are they just trying to blame me? Yeah, like, that's a very interesting method of blaming people, basically. What the fuck? You have gold damage? You shouldn't have gold damage. What are you doing? Well, why don't you have gold damage? If it's that important to you. No, it's a very interesting method of blaming people. I haven't heard that one before, but hey, you know, people do some crazy shit. I'm bad at dive characters. What should I do when I'm placed on a dive team? The other 5 players on my team have picked dive characters. I can't play any of the dive characters. Really, can't play any of the dive characters. That's quite a lot of them, actually. Which is better to play at? Which is a better character to play on? Which is better? To play a character I'm bad at, or to have bad or anti-team synergy? Skill with the hero is more important than anything else. It doesn't matter if you're picking the thing that's the best, like, thing on paper composition-wise. If you've got no idea how to play that thing, it doesn't matter if it's the best thing composition-wise, because you won't be able to take advantage of why it is the best thing composition-wise, so you might as well just pick something you can play. You do want it to still be in the same role, like, you know, that you're meant to be picking a tank. Don't go, well, I can't play any of them, so I'm just gonna pick another fucking DPS. Like, try and keep it reasonable still, but, like, don't go, I can't play them, I'm just gonna pick whatever the fuck, right? Like, try and still keep it reasonable. But there's no point playing a character you don't know how to play. So you might as well just play something that you can play. To hear my general character list... Junkrat, Moira, Reinhardt, Roadhog. Zenyatta can be played on a dive comp, first off. Below average. Unsorted. Not played enough to know how bad they are. I see. Poor. I mean, I think most people are bad at Torbjorn. Unwinnable. Ashe, Doomfist, Genji, Pharah, Tracer, Widow, Winston, Wrecking Ball. Might as well be 5v7. Fair enough. This is I know Zarya and Zenyatta are pretty good at dive teams, but they're not reasonably available if the other tank is not. Yeah, that, you know, that's gonna be unfortunate for you. Like, there's no point picking a hero that you don't know how to play, is the long and short of it, though, because if you don't know how to play them, you won't be able to take advantage of why it's good for the composition anyway. What is going on? I'm sorry for all the vulgarity that's going to follow, but what the fuck is going on with Overwatch? Watch the fucking language, Jesus Christ. I mean, continually, every effing time, whether I'm heals, DPS, or tanks, I'm getting gold, yet whatever Blizz decided to create my team with, find a group or random, is losing hardcore, and I've dropped 400 points this night alone, and I've bringing the team up with me to the best of my abilities. What should I do? I've fallen from. I'm getting multiple gold medals. What should I fix? Just play the game more, and if you're playing well, you'll climb. If you are not actually playing well, you won't climb. There you go. That's why they pay me the big bucks. How long did it take you to climb? It took me... How long did it take me to get to Masters the first time? It took a couple seasons, at the very least. When I first played, I got placed in... Oh, fuck. I can barely remember what I ate today, so this is hard to remember. I got placed in, like, upper gold, lower platinum when I first started playing. And then I got to Masters in Season 4, I think. So it took a while, especially, well, the first season was fucked up because we had that weird 1 to 100 scale rather than the tiers that we have now. And there was also this massive gap in between Seasons 1 and Season 2. So it must have took me about 7-8 months to climb about 1,000 SR. Yeah. That sounds about right. Somewhere in that region. It took a while. Support pairs. Which support pairs are considered acceptable and why? Which ones are considered poor? I don't really care as long as you don't go like, see, you're saying popular one, Lucio Zen. I hate Lucio Zen because that's so low healing. How about Moira Bridge? That's fine. Really the only one I don't like personally is Lucio Zen. I don't really give a shit about the other one. Well, alright, Lucio Bridget, Zenyatta Bridget also would be bad. Basically, I don't like the two off healers together. It can work, don't get me wrong. You can do it. You can do Lucio Zen. But, it's one of those things where it requires, a baseline competency from all parties involved, which is hard to come by when you're playing Overwatch. So I'm not a fan of, the two off healers together, but other than that, I don't particularly care one way or the other. I think they're all fine, basically. Buffed Fan the Hammer might be a game changer. I mean, Winston and Orisa barriers are divisible by 300, so it's one less Fan the Hammer to shred. That's actually kind of a big deal if it's one less button push. Breakpoints are a big deal in this video game. With reloads on Orisa in 4-ish. Quicker if he has combat roll on it. Bridge shields might as well be a paper towel now. I mean, if you're fucking fanning the hammer into Bridget's shield, you braver man than me. He can more reliably one-shot squishies. Yep, that's true. Especially for the smaller heroes like Tracer or Genji could frequently kind of get away with that because they got smaller hitboxes, so sometimes they'd actually manage to get away. Dive tanks can't blindly jump you anymore. I mean, they will though, won't they? When Bridge was introduced, it reduced the burden on McCree as anti-flanker because he would get overwhelmed by... just maybe him and Reaper can act as an anti-tank tool and not let goats just run over teams. So here's the problem with that. Reaper's awful against goats. So no, first off. Primarily, no. But secondarily, McCree will also not be good against goats because of this. Reaper is already bad against goats because Reaper is not actually that good at killing tanks. So that's unfortunate for him. Reaper's currently going through one of those periods that he goes through every now and then where people are basically saying he's the worst hero in the game, which is definitely hyperbole. But, you know how people are, especially people who play Overwatch. So he's currently in one of those sequences right now. So he's not very good at goats. Against goats, rather. He wouldn't be very good at goats either, but he's not very good against goats. And McCree will also likely not be good against goats. Tank main wants to know what I'm doing. Wrong. And it's impossible for me to push out of gold as Ryan. I know my job is block damage, and that doesn't need to be taken. And dealing damage when I can. I seem to have this problem where if my team is losing the shield fight, I am the one getting blamed. That will be the case, yes. Also, if one of my teams gets picked off after I call shield going down is to recharge, what can I do to either A, win the shield battle, or B, make my role more efficient for my team? I am kind of a bot sometimes and play very aggressive, which is something I am trying to change. Another question I had come up with: how can I make it easier for my DPS to do damage and kills? I don't feel like it's my DPS not doing shit most of the time, but them not having enough resources to do it. I like how realistic this person is about it. I'm not just blaming the DPS, unlike most people, because, hey, every other game you play, the DPS, the enemy team's not dying, so obviously that's a DPS-related issue. It can't possibly be anything else. It's the DPS being bad. Frequently not the case, but you know how people are. So, what common issue with Reinhardt players is that, I mean, they'll be holding the shield up for shit they don't need to be holding the shield up for, because you're meant to be blocking meaningful damage that's actually being directed at somebody, right? Other than yourself. Because you can just stand behind a wall, and that's perfectly fine. The whole point of the shield is to block for other people. So Reinhardt players will usually be holding the shield up to block for themselves, or they'll be holding it up to block just trash damage that they don't need to be blocking. Like, if there's like you're on like Temple of Anubis second point, there's like a diva at the other end of the fucking bridge while you're defending, they'll hold the shield up versus that diva, and that's like a waste of time. The diva's doing maybe 1 damage, right? Which you don't need to be blocking. All that's doing is giving diva something to shoot at, and while you're doing that, your shield's not regenerating. So they'll do stuff like that, or they'll only block for themselves. Don't do either of those things. Those are very common. The other thing with Reinhardt Reinhardt players is they'll kind of like amble out in the open, not entirely sure of what they're trying to do, and their shield just takes a bunch of damage for no reason. You've got to actually be trying to get somewhere, you feel? So if you're playing like King's Row, right, you're attacking King's Row, first checkpoint, you go up to the gate, and then you'll walk your team over to like the right side of the statue, and then you'll let it regenerate behind the statue, because you'll have taken some damage going over there. You'll let it regenerate a little bit. And then you'll push forward onto the point. Or you'll hold your shield up, there's like 3 different ways you can go with King's Row, because otherwise you'll go like left through the building, or just up the main street. I don't recommend going up the main street. I go like left through the building, so you hold it up, get to the room, let it regenerate in the room a little bit, and then push up out the other side. Unless you got like a Lucio, and then you just sprint right up to those motherfuckers. But, you know, coordination. Or you'll hold your shield up, go up to the staircase, and then jump down, go through the building with the large health kit, and go around the backside. Good luck getting your team to do that one. But either way, you've got a plan of where you're trying to go, and you go there. Because what you'll see like a lot of people do is they'll just stand in front of the gate at the front, holding their shield up, like, oh, where am I going? What am I trying to do, right? And then the shield just takes, like, 1,000 damage right there. And like, well, now it's almost dead, so I guess I'll just, keep waiting out here, actually. You gotta know where you're going, and you've got to actually try to get there. And usually with Reinhardt, you're trying to go from cover to cover as well. So imagine, as well, what's another good one? Hanamura. You'll hold the shield up at the gate. You'll go... You don't want to just go straight to the point. Hanamura is a dirty trap, right? You don't want to go, like, straight across the point, because that's really scary. You want to go You want to hold your shield up and go through the room on the right, or go up left. So you go, hold your shield up, go in the room on the right, let it regenerate in the room, then walk up the staircase, and then push onto the point. Or you'll hold your shield up, go left up the staircase, again, let it regenerate in the room at the top of the staircase, and then, once it's regenerated, push in onto the point. So you go from cover to cover, and you also know where you're going. You actually fucking go there, rather than just kind of ambling out in the open, which is what a lot of Reinhardt players will do. So that's about the best I've got for shield-wise, is try to be blocking meaningful damage aimed at somebody other than yourself, because you can just use a wall to cover for yourself. And know where you're going and actually get there. Don't just kind of amble out in the open. I've completely lost my place. Here we go. At what rank do Rhine players stop making ill-advised deep charges? Oh, I got some bad news for you. Help. I'm not a gamer at all. I got an Xbox as a gift and started playing Overwatch after playing the free trial. I really fell in love with the game and enjoying it. A little less than 2 years, and I'm just terrible. No idea until reading Reddit that he was regarded as a less skilled player. I thought I was getting pretty good at him. He has a pretty high skill cap, to be fair. Or a high skill ceiling, I should say. You can do some crazy stuff with Junkrat. I really played competitive and bronze level. I do occasionally play other characters depending on what the team needs. I've gotten several messages in my Xbox saying I'm trash, etc. Since I'm just playing at bronze level, I didn't think people would care so much. So my question is, as someone that's not a gamer and doesn't have experience, what's the best way to get better? Just play quick match. Don't play against AI. That's a waste of time. Should I just stay away from competitive season altogether until I get better? I mean, so the thing is, AI is a waste of time, just flatly speaking. Quick play is also basically a waste of time, because people are just doing weird shit in quick play. half the time you can't even navigate, like, the map the same way in quick play as you would in competitive, because in quick play you're more likely to find, like, 3 snipers, a Bastion, and Widow. Like, 3 snipers, Bastion, Mei, right? Like, you can't even move through the map the same way. So quick play ends up usually just being a waste of time. You can, I guess, practice aiming a bit, but, like, if you want to practice mechanics, the best thing you can really do is play deathmatch, because it's just all fighting all the time. So you pretty much just do have to play competitive if you really want to improve. And people are going to be assholes regardless of how good you are, so that's just something to kind of get used to, unfortunately. You know, it's not good that the answer to that is you kind of have to get used to it, but you do kind of just have to get used to it. What's the proper attitude to take on lopsided matches against you? Specifically, on matches where you know you can improve your chances of winning to 50-50 instead of 0, but only if you give 200% effort. You know what I'm talking about? Those games where you're better than any person on the enemy team, but the rest of your team has less skill than them. I'm not asking when is it okay to throw, but when do you decide to give only 100%, and when is it worth to try hard and give 200%? Just want to very... I mean, you should always be trying your hardest, is basically what I'm going to say to you. Because it's not really something that you give a conscious effort to, really, is it? Like, you don't just sit down, you don't load into a match and go, alright, this is the game where I'm going to play out of control and just dumpster all 6 people by myself. You feel me? That doesn't really happen. It tends to just sort of be happenstance that happens sometimes, really. Happenstance that happens is a very good sentence. English is fucked up. That you should always be trying your hardest is pretty much what I'm going to say to you. Because you can't really decide that you're going to suddenly play 200% effectiveness, you know? That just kind of happens some games, really. Sometimes you have a really good game, and sometimes you have an awful game. And you don't really get to decide when those two things happen. How to maximize the effects of Riptire. So I played a lot of Junkrat today and won the majority of the games while having gold damage in the limbs, even managing to win a 5v6. I feel as if my Junkrat I'd get a good 3 or 4 man ult, but most of the time it's just 1 kill. When is it the best time to use Junkrat ult? And who should I target when using it? So getting 1 kill with Junkrat's Tire is honestly not the end of the world. Because I forget who said this. It was someone a lot smarter than me. I don't remember who said this, but they said basically the thing with the Riptire is that it's basically a guaranteed stagger on somebody. And Junkrat builds his ult really fast because he does, like, a lot of AoE damage to people. So it's not something you have to really ever worry about super hard because he does build his ult really fast. And basically, I was taught pretty much, just use it whenever the fuck, because, you know, sure, sometimes you're going to use it and get those sick, like, 5-man Riptire kills when they all group up on the point. That's great. But, like, just killing 1 or 2 people is fine, because you killed that person, they can't really win a fight without that person, because it's hard to win a 5v6. So now they have to wait for that person to get back, which could take, like, depending on the map, it can take, like, fucking 20 to 30 seconds for them to get back. So you using your ult just buys your team, like, a quarter of a minute or half a minute. Like, that's great. Like, that's fantastic. So getting 1 kill is not the end of the world. Like, they still can't realistically win a fight without that person. So you've still basically done your job. And Junkrat builds his ult really fucking fast, so it's not usually too much of an issue. Any hit scan mains that are masters or above that can give me advice on Discord? Well, I'm working on that one. I'm just trying to be the best Ashe in the world right now. Reaper does not counter goats. Why you should not pick him against the default 3v3 composition. He needs to be close, so booping away is really effective. Stuns, yeah, Enemy having high speed and you not, yeah. Mobility, they can just run away from Reaper. Armor, Reaper does pellet-based damage, which means his damage is halved against armor, and as his damage is his main utility, this is a big factor. I've never really found that one to be much of an issue. People always play up the armor thing with Reaper. I love playing Reaper. Reaper's always been one of my favorite heroes. The armor is not that big of a deal. Like, people play that, like, they play up, like, his weakness against armor more than it, like, really exists. Burst healing, Reaper can one-shot, but it rarely ever happens, so burst healing really screws him up. Damage-denying abilities. Yep, so, like, all of these people, you know, all of the GOAT's heroes, basically, are really good against Reaper. So, life is hard for Reaper, basically. He's not good against GOATs. Unless they are bad at GOATs, you know. How often should I ping ult? It's the kind of thing where you can't really ping it too much unless you're literally just like maybe don't be that extreme, but like basically you can just kind of ping it whenever. Usually the more the better, because let's be real, people aren't pushing tab and looking. So tips to increase my I really can't tell you console wise because I've never played on the console. Which heroes to avoid with 150 MS? Snipers. McCree. Soldier's probably still fine because he has an automatic weapon. Probably Zenyatta. You know, the aim-intense ones, basically, would be ones to avoid. After seeing Bridges' new nerf of not being able to stun through shields, do you guys think Doomfist should not be able to deal as much damage or knock back through a shield? That would be consistent, but I don't think they'll do it because Doomfist would suddenly become really, really bad. Which I'm fine with, but I don't think they'll do that. It would be, like, consistent with what they've done to Bridget, though, which, you know, I'm still upset about, but mostly just about the fact they've decided, you know, fuck it, just take that button off. It doesn't matter, like, does no damage, doesn't go through shields, whatever. They've been doing these little incremental, alright, we'll increase the cooldown by 1 second. We'll reduce her shield health by 100. These little incremental things, and then they go, fuck it doesn't go through shields and it doesn't do damage anymore. I know it does 5 damage. It doesn't do damage anymore. Doesn't go through shields. It's done. Alright? We removed Bridget. Are you happy now? Tracer's gonna be out of control. You people are unpleasable. Is basically the exchange that happened with Blizzard. How to not be toxic as a sim main. Don't shit talk people. I stay in chat if people want to confront me about it, but that rarely happens. I just get people to throw and leave games. I also fill and flex depending on map and situation. I mean, don't shit talk them. Basically, like, the best thing you can do is just not interact with those people at all. Just let them make complete jackasses of themselves, right? Here's a tip for you if you're going to play any kind of hero that typically draws hatred to them, right? Like Widowmaker, Ashe currently, Symmetra, Torbjorn, whatever. Any hero that draws hatred. Here's a pro tip for you. Start the game, go good luck, have fun. Every round, say good round, and say good game at the end of the game, right? GG, well played. And then just don't interact with the assholes. Let them make complete jackasses of themselves, because if you just act perfectly nice and affable, then all of the actually reasonable people in the game will end up sticking up for you instead most of the time. Whereas if you start throwing insults back and forth with them as well, everybody looks stupid, right? Everybody. So the best thing you can do is just be very nice. Just say good luck, have fun. Don't talk to them. Ignore them. Be nice to other people. Joke with them if you can, you know. Don't interact with the assholes and just let them make complete idiots of themselves. And then they'll be shamed, basically, is the gist of it. That's the stance I've taken with playing Ash, because let me tell you, I've had a lot of people who have been throwing my games too. Oh, look at this. This person just like, they fucking insta-locked Ash. I'm gonna pick Torbjorn now. It's been very nice. It's been a very enjoyable experience with the Overwatch community. Why do high elo players often view the game's quality as declining? Because, not to be too insulting, right? I'll include myself in it as well, alright? We're all complaining babies, basically. We're all very soft and like to complain about everything. And we're also very prone to hyperbole and exaggeration. So basically anything that happens that we perceive to be an issue is nothing short of a complete extinction level event, basically. And yes, I include myself in that as well. Did you hear me complaining about Bridget's nerf a minute ago? Don't worry, I'm in there too. So that's why. Different mindset that helped me climb when I was stuck in silver. Always be thinking one game at a time. And I love this hippie shit. Tips for using looking for group. I've never used it. Is Lucio's aura visible to the enemy team? You know, that's something that I should just know, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, no? I'm pretty sure it's no, but I'm actually not. It's one of those things where I was completely sure about it, and now that the question's been asked, I'm like, no, question mark? I'm pretty sure it's not visible to the enemy team. The comments probably no. Not visible to the enemy team. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I knew about the change, that it became visible after the change. Yeah. It's not, yeah. I didn't think it was, but it's one of those things where, like, I immediately went, don't think so. Even though I was certain of the answer, like, 10 minutes ago. Why is Mei seen as a bad pick? She's fine. It's just that she's had a stigma attached to her as being low-tier trash. And once you have the low-tier trash stigma attached to you, it's very hard to get rid of it. Like, Torbjorn is actually kind of fine, right? But you pick Torbjorn, it's all over. It's all over for you. So she's fine, especially after they changed it so that her right-click doesn't have fall-off damage. Like, she's actually, like, pretty wicked now. But she has the stigma attached to her. It's hard to get rid of the stigma once it's been attached to you. Because my post blew up last week, I made a free coaching server. Good for you. Who should I pick if all my other teammates pick DPS? Pick a healer and hope for the best. It's all you can do. You need a healer, so you have to basically pick a healer and just pray. Doesn't really matter which one, but try to have it be a main healer still. At absolute lowest. Like, basically the only one I would say, the only non-main healer I would say you could pick in this situation would be Zenyatta. Basically, because the mindset there would be go all in on killing people, right? Zenyatta does more damage, Discord makes him do more damage, right? But when I'm in that situation, I just pick Mercy or Moira and just hope for the best, basically. That's all you can do. Yeah. Pick a god and pray is about what it extends to. Main tank player facing Sim, Hog, Pharah, Bridge, Mercy. Assuming you're pretty much equally comfortable on all the main tanks, what's the best pick against? So it's one of those things where, like, none of them are going to be fantastic for you. Like, none of the main tanks are going to be great. The best one you can do is pretty much gonna be Orisa. Just because, like, if you're Reinhardt, like, Winston's, like, off the table, right? Like, you can't jump into that, can ya? So, you can't really do Winston. If you count Hammond as a main tank, which people want to, but I'm not sold on that, at least definitely not for solo queue on the ladder. If you've got a coordinated team with you, and you know how to execute it, Hammond can be a main tank. But for 90% of the player base, I would say Hammond is not a main tank. So you can't do Winston. Hammond would be hard if we count him. Not impossible, better than Winston, but you can't, like, hard still. Reinhardt could be fine depending on what your team is. Like, if your team is basically Deathball, then, you know, that'd be fine. But even then, like, it's just really scary to walk into that team. So Orisa is probably going to be the best one you can do regardless. But it's also one of those things where, like, even Orisa could really get fucked up by that team. So it's kind of going to be pretty scary regardless. But I think Orisa is about the best you can do, really, versus that comp. As for playstyle, basically, you don't want, like, fuck all to do with them until, like, they spread out, or you get a pick on somebody, because it's really hard to move into that team comp. There's a lot of, like, big damage and crowd control, as well as people generally being difficult to kill. Hog is difficult to kill, Far is difficult to kill, Bridge is difficult to kill, D.Va is difficult to kill, you know? Mercy's gonna be difficult to kill when there's a Pharah, so they're hard to kill, and they're hard to walk into, so you kind of just want to play it really cautiously, and be really careful you don't get picked off, because that's a team comp that's going to pick you off pretty hard. So it's going to be, Orisa's about the best you can do, and just play real cautiously, pretty much. Genji in Season 12. How do people climb out of Diamond this season as Genji? By being good at the video game. There's nothing wrong with Genji. Genji is still good. You just have to be good at Genji. Only a Nanoblade does anything at all. Should I just take a step back from this hero? It is going to be very hard to run him against goats. Yes, you basically need to bully, like, the squishy healer real good. It will be difficult to play him against goats. I really don't see that much goats. People been talking about goats like it's literally every game. Out of the last, like, 30 games I've played, I think I've seen goats once, maybe twice. Like, it's, not been, like, you know, anecdotal evidence, obviously. I'm but one man. But I have seen close to 0 goats, so I'm not having that much of an issue with it personally. Anyone else struggling with Ashe and comp? It's strange because people keep saying Ashe is over too. You have to be able to hit people. She's hard to play because she's not a sniper. I begrudge people calling her a sniper because she doesn't compare to Widowmaker in terms of a sniper unless you are being damage boosted, in which case you can one-shot people with a headshot. Or they're discorded. But, like, Widow has the advantage over you. So I begrudge people calling her a sniper. She basically is, like, similar effective range to, like, Soldier. People keep calling her a sniper, and I'm like, I see why you're saying that, but I don't agree with it all the same. But either, like, she's a very precision-based hero, right? If you can't hit people, you're not very good at Ashe. So that's the problem. That's the issue right there. She just does a lot of fucking damage, but you gotta be able to hit them. Just feels like Soldier I can do more total damage, get picks easier, relocate easier. Or not. Dude, her mobility is fucking insane because she can just jump straight up to wherever. Like, Soldier has to run to these places. Ashe can just jump straight up to it. Here's a hot tip for you as well if you're being dove by a Winston, because people like to pick Winston against Ashe. You see him jumping at you, shotgun him before he lands. He goes so far back that, like, he's nowhere near you anymore. When when he's in the air, it puts way more momentum on him than when he's on the ground. So, like, even though you don't move, because you pointed it straight up, so it didn't really move you, it knocked him so far back that, like, his dive got completely fucked up by you shotgunning the guy out of the air. Let's see. Since trying to play... I mean, when you're learning to play a new hero, you're gonna drop some SR. That's just, like, how life is. Do you think Ashe is actually good? Ashe is insane. Ashe is insane. You just need to be good at Ashe, is the problem. She's not underpowered. She's definitely not underpowered. Alright? She's, at worst, she's average, right? But, like, she's good. You just need to be good at Ashe. Yeah, which is hard, because she's a very precision-based hero. Different types of positioning explained. Effective range. In 1v1 duels against enemies, are you in range that allows you to have the best damage dealt to damage taken ratio? If you're Reaper, Roadhog, etc., are you fighting close enough? So, I have a different way of looking at that, where I call it the person's zone of threat, which I basically imagine as being a circle around the person, which is their their zone of threat, right? Which is also their effective range. I just prefer the term zone of threat. And I just imagine like a circle around them that is that range. So if we're imagining Roadhog, right, his circle around him is 21 meters, because that's his hook range, right? Whereas if his hook is on cooldown, then suddenly the circle around him is basically point blank, right? It would kind of do this weird, like, ring thing, wouldn't it? Where it's like right on top of him, dead space, and then the right click range a little bit further out when his hook is on cooldown. Or if you imagine like Reaper, it's like Reaper's effective range is something like 7 meters, so it's like a 7-meter circle around Reaper. Whereas if you imagine like Soldier, then his effective range is it's like 25 meters, I think, is where his fall off starts kicking in. Somewhere, it's long. So basically, his circle is bigger than Roadhog's circle, right? So the idea of playing like Soldier is that you try to keep Roadhog in the edge of your circle so that you're outside of his circle, right? And also, if you're playing like Roadhog is a tank, but he's a tank because his zone of threat is really scary. So when you're playing Roadhog, your goal is to position your 21-meter circle so that it's in the most obstructive place for the enemy team possible. Because they don't want to go in your circle, right? Your circle's fucking scary. Your circle is like fucking bright flashing red scary. So you try to position so that people have to play around your circle, basically. That's how I think about it. Just circles around everyone. Safety. Do you make use of cover? Either from the map geometry or your tanks. Do you stay health packs or other sources of healing when optimal? Setting up before fights. Do you set up at an optimal position? Do you position in such a way that allows you to retreat easily if the fight is unwinnable? This is one I bang on about all the time, where I'm always talking about how far we have to run to get to safety. That's basically what I'm talking about. Rotation. Many players have a good idea of where to position at first, but as the fight breaks out and the situation gets more complicated, do they reposition correctly? If the enemies are about to threaten you, do you position safely before it's too late? Enemy comps. Is the enemy running a comp of heroes that can't easily reach high ground? Can you use the high grounds to gain an advantage over them? Usually the answer is yes. Are you standing by yourself on high ground or with a false feeling of security? Are you staying out of the Widowed Hanzo's line of sight? Are you more than a hook's distance away from the enemy Roadhog? See, I like to just bundle that one up with effective range, basically, and call it zone of threats. Main tanking without heals. If you don't have a healer and you're playing a tank, you pretty much have to play Roadhog. Okay? That's the truth for you right there. You just can't. I was gonna say it's very difficult. You can't really play a main tank, or any tank, if you don't have a healer. Okay. I'm not getting heals and dying. So if you have a healer, you're dying anyway, what you're probably doing is playing too aggressively. Is this just the way it is, or is there a better way to solicit heals, or maybe tricks to extend my poor short life? I charge infrequently, and so if you have a healer and they're not healing you, there might be other shit happening that you should be applying your attention to, because maybe their attention is on something that's happening rather than you, and you've just not noticed that something is happening. You may be too far up. You might have line of sighted the healers. They might be getting pressured by something, so they're not able to heal you right now. There's a bunch of things that can be happening. If it is that you don't have a healer, you pretty much have to play Roadhog, because, let's be realistic, you can't play Reinhardt without a healer. You can't play Winston without a healer. Right? Let's be real. On a strictly literal level, you can, but you can't really, can you? So you pretty much have to play Roadhog. If there is a healer, try to pay attention to what's happening to them, because they might be getting threatened. They might be paying attention to something else that's happening other than you, or you might have been just basically be too far up from them. Stuck in silver despite good skill, communication. Oh, woe is me. I prioritize healing with my orb. Damage orb for life, by the way. Let's finish gold healing, more often than not, limbs and objective time. A limbs is nothing to write home about if you're playing like Moira. And one team literally screaming every racist, homophobic, and sexist slur they could come up with. I only healed for 20k, which is horrible. Yeah, people don't know what realistic... I remember this one game I was playing McCree, and this guy was shit-talking me, and he was like, what's your accuracy? And my accuracy was something like, it was like 56-ish, somewhere in that region. I go, it's like 56. And he goes, that's fucking terrible. I got a top 500 friend, and his accuracy on McCree is 95%. And I just laughed at him. I went, if you're gonna lie, at least pick a realistic number. Your friend has got 95% accuracy if he's fired his gun 4 times in his entire life. It was... People have such, fucking stupid ideas about what realistic numbers are. Yes, he's literally a fucking android if he plays McCree and has 95% average accuracy. That's insane. 56, oh, it's awful, my friend, 95%. Fucking at least pick a realistic number if you're gonna lie. Jesus Christ. Anyway, despite these factors, I find a lot of people complain that I'm not healing enough, and one team I have just read that sentence and then decided to read it again, is basically what happened there. I've never been quite the same since the stroke. Which one, you ask? I've had many, I know. I've tried random groups and parties in the group finder. I'm criticized for playing Moira and not healing enough. See, this is the thing. Moira's one of those heroes where if something's going badly and they're looking for something to blame, they will look at you and go, you know what the problem is? It's that the Moira thinks she's a DPS. Am I right, fellow Overwatch players? The Moira always thinks she's a DPS and not a healer. Isn't that true? Haha, those silly bastards. That's basically what happened. She's one of those heroes that attracts criticism just by existing, because they will blame you. Because they'll just go, well, we're dying. Why is that? Tab. Oh, our main healer's Moira. Clearly she thinks she's a DPS. It's one of those things. But my playstyle is similar. Yeah, Playing Moira, so I have high hopes of becoming a top-ranked player, but what other steps can I take to get out of low SR hell? So, I'm actually going to tell you, do more damage. Because Moira's meant to do damage. It's kind of part of her as a hero, as it turns out. So, yeah, the healing's great. You know, obviously, you are a healer. Healing is your number one priority. But also, do more damage. Sip those motherfuckers to death. Because, let's be real, if you're in silver, your team don't know how to do damage. They don't. So you do that damage for them, while also healing them. Very hard, I know, but, yeah, it's kind of what you have to do. My solo queue win loss is significantly better than my group win loss. Different environment, yeah, you know. It's necessarily bad that I lose more of my group games. I mean, my group win ratio is also lower than my solo queue win ratio, and it's just like, it's a different environment. There's an adjustment to it, and like, it's not something I'm good at. I'm a very self-absorbed player, right? It's like I know what I'm meant to be doing, and I know what other people are meant to be doing. But I'm not one of those people that can really communicate these things in the moment, because I'm just kind of like focused on what I'm doing. So when I'm playing with a group of people, I could like shot call more, certainly, and communicate more, but I'm just really I just gotta get wrapped up in my own little world of clicking on the man's heads, basically. Or, you know, charging into the man's, whatever. It's a different environment. It's, for me, it's a lot easier to play solo queue, because I'm just, like, in my own little world. I'm just gonna click those heads real good. Nobody, like, that asshole over there who's shouting, like, all kinds of nonsense at me. I don't give a fuck. He can do whatever. He can scream till he's blue in the face. I don't give a shit. I'm doing my own thing over here. Click, 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 click. As soon as I gotta play with a group, I'm like, oh shit, like, you know, I don't want to communicate. That's hard. I want to just click on mans. How do you keep SR when you are working full time? I'm not really the one to ask about that. How to successfully play Mercy anymore. Damage boost. As much as possible. Healing. The Healies, they're not so good anymore. But you know what's still as good as ever? Damage boost. The amount of Mercy players I see that are just constantly healing people at full health all the time. You're like, you're doing nothing. You're doing nothing. You literally have your beam turned off right now because you're healing somebody at full health. It's doing nothing. Damage boost as much as physically possible. Trying, you know, if somebody's hurt, heal that boy. Yes, true enough. But damage boost. Hello, Overwatch University. Calling all the Ashe mains and pro Ashes with a question on ammo management. Oh no, it's the thing I'm bad at. How do you manage your ammo as Ashe? I've been having a literal blast playing her, but tend to get stuck behind cover waiting to reload 12 bullets in her gun, not being able to do anything. Ah yes. That certainly is some relatable content right there. So you can reload just like piecemeal, basically. So it's pretty much like, as soon as like there isn't really something super productive for you to be doing, just take that time to like reload a couple of bullets. This is also easier if you bind hello to an easier to reach location so that you can stop reloading sooner. That's why I'm particularly fond of that exploit. It makes this easier for me, because I'm bad. Yeah, so like, if you haven't got anything great to be shooting at, or you don't think your chances of hitting whatever it is are particularly high, then just take that time to reload a couple of bullets, right? And basically have some trigger discipline. Don't just be like, because I know this is also part of my problem, is that I'm basically, like, shooting constantly. Like, have some discipline, and try to take less shots, but aim those shots more carefully. Because it doesn't matter if you fire slower, as long as all of the shots you fire hit, right? Or most of the shots you hit fire hit. Because let's be real, they aren't all going to hit, right? So try to take less shots, but try to aim them more carefully. Because I know I just, like, hammer out a lot of shots, like, really quickly. Even though the shots I'm taking don't have a great chance of actually hitting, because I'm just kind of, like, rapid-firing them. Or it's not really going to do anything if it does anyway. So yeah, like, as soon as there's not too much happening, just reload a couple, and be more deliberate when you do take your shots, is what I'll say. But this is something I'm bad at, still, so I'm working on that one. I'll report back to you another time. So, I can't look at how long we've been here, because I only have one monitor right now, and it's terrible, basically. I just have to kind of trust that everything's working, because I can't see it. And that's very scary. Because, you know, by now you'd think we'd have figured out this whole recording the screen process business, but you'd be surprised even, by just how many things can go wrong with that one. It seems like every other week I encounter a new issue I've never encountered before. It's absolutely incredible. So yeah, I'll just assume that we've been going a reasonable length of time since we did 2 pages. So thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. And I hope you found the video helpful.